The Amazon rainforest is often called the lungs of the earth because many people believe it produces about 20% of the world's oxygen. This is a very popular claim that has been repeated for many years. It sounds impressive and helps people understand how important the rainforest is. However, while it is true that the Amazon plays a major role in the Earth's climate and environment, the idea that it provides 1/5 of the oxygen we breathe is not completely accurate. To understand why, we need to look at how oxygen is produced and how the rainforest works. Oxygen is produced through a process called photosynthesis. Photosynthesis happens when plants, trees, and some tiny organisms use sunlight to make food. During this process, they take in carbon dioxide, a gas we breathe out, and water, and use sunlight to turn them into sugars that help the plant grow. As a result, they release oxygen as a byproduct. This is why forests, grasslands, and even oceans are so important. They all contain plants and organisms that perform photosynthesis and create oxygen. Without photosynthesis, there would be no oxygen for humans or animals to breathe. The Amazon rainforest covers a huge area in South America, about 5.5 million square kilometers. It stretches across 9 countries, including Brazil, Peru, Colombia, and Venezuela. The forest is home to millions of species of plants, animals, and insects. It is one of the most biodiverse places on Earth. With so many trees and plants growing close together, it makes sense to think that the Amazon produces a lot of oxygen. In fact, the Amazon's plants and trees do make a great amount of oxygen through photosynthesis every day. However, there is something important that people often forget. Most of the oxygen made by the Amazon is also used up within the rainforest itself. The Amazon is a living, breathing ecosystem. Every tree, plant, animal, insect, and even tiny microbe in the soil uses oxygen to survive. When living things breathe or decompose, break down after dying, they take in oxygen and release carbon dioxide. Because of this, most of the oxygen created by photosynthesis in the Amazon is used up again by the forest's own life forms. It is almost like the forest breathes in and out. It produces oxygen, but it also uses oxygen. Scientists say that when you add up all of this, the Amazon actually produces very little extra oxygen that reaches the rest of the world's atmosphere. In fact, research shows that the Amazon's net contribution to the oxygen in our atmosphere is close to zero. That means that while it makes a lot of oxygen, it also uses almost the same amount. This might sound surprising, but it makes sense when we think about balance in nature. The rainforest has existed for millions of years, and it has a steady cycle of growth, decay, and renewal. The oxygen that remains in the air around the planet has mostly been there for a very long time, some of it for billions of years. Our atmosphere already contains about 21% oxygen, and this level stays fairly stable over time because of these natural balances. So, if the Amazon is not the main source of our oxygen, where does most of it come from? The answer lies in the ocean. Tiny ocean plants called phytoplankton live near the surface of the sea. These microscopic organisms also perform photosynthesis, and because they cover so much of the planet's surface, they are responsible for producing more than half of the world's oxygen. Unlike the Amazon, a lot of the oxygen they produce is not immediately used up. Some of it escapes into the atmosphere and becomes part of the air we breathe. This is why the oceans are just as important as forests when it comes to supporting life on Earth. Even though the Amazon does not directly supply us with a large amount of oxygen, it is still incredibly important. The rainforest helps store vast amounts of carbon dioxide, which helps control the Earth's climate. It also influences rainfall patterns across South America and even affects weather in other parts of the world. The Amazon provides food, water, and medicine for many people, including indigenous communities who have lived there for thousands of years. Its plants and animals contain unique genetic materials that scientists study to create new medicines and technologies. Losing parts of the Amazon to deforestation and fires would not only harm the plants and animals living there, but also speed up climate change. Deforestation, the cutting down and burning of trees, is one of the biggest threats to the Amazon. When trees are burned, they release the carbon dioxide they have stored for years back into the atmosphere. This adds to global warming. The destruction also harms countless species and reduces the forest's ability to recycle water and control temperature. So even though the Amazon might not be the main producer of our oxygen, protecting it is still critical for the planet's health. Without the Amazon, the Earth's climate would become hotter, drier, and more unstable, and many forms of life would be lost forever. In summary, while people often say the Amazon rainforest produces 20% of the world's oxygen, that is a simplification. The rainforest does produce a lot of oxygen through photosynthesis, but it also uses almost all of it. The majority of the oxygen in our atmosphere comes from ocean organisms like phytoplankton. Still, the Amazon is essential to the balance of life on Earth because of its role in absorbing carbon dioxide, regulating the climate, and supporting countless species. In simple terms, the Amazon may not be our biggest oxygen source, but it remains one of the planet's most valuable and irreplaceable treasures.